Hey, this is Bill Kalinicki from Heartstrings of Dowmeast Maine, and we're in December, just beginning December. And looking out my window here, we're looking at the maple tree I showed you in October. Things have changed, about 8 inches of snow. And of course, that beckons to my mind all the time during the snowstorm. A favorite poem of mine forever, since I was in high school. Of course, and probably one of yours from Robert Frost, whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sound's the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. So I read that poem for Robert Frost, and not one of my own poems, because Mary Oliver, or the late Mary Oliver, a very famous female woman, American poet, often says, don't go to the workshops, read somebody else's work. Don't waste your time. And that's half true, of course. And what I wanted to do was talk a little bit about Robert Frost. If you have his collected works, it's lots of us do, that he published in, I think it was 1937 or so. In the front of the book, in fact, I'll look it up here. In the front of the book, he has an introduction, which I never read. And I didn't read it. I'm 77 now. I didn't read it when I was 18, when I bought the book. And John Barr, who's a famous American poet, or noted American poet, he drew my attention to it on his Instagram. He has an Instagram where he talks about poetry. And he said that he knows one famous poet who always reads this 2-page introduction by Robert Frost before he begins his work. And the original, the original copyright was 1916 on the on collected works, and I have the first printing of collected works from 1949, which the book is, I'm older than the book. But I just wanted to read this, and I'll turn us around here for a second, I hope successfully. There we go, I'll turn it around. And it's a very cold day here in Dowmeast, Maine. It's December 4th, and it's supposed to go down to, or feel at least minus 30 below zero tonight. So winter is progressing. Robert Frost writes a 2-page little thing in the front of the book, and he says, the figure of a poem. He wrote this in 1939. And he says, abstraction is an old story with the philosophers, but it has been like a new toy in the hands of the artists of our day. Why can't we have any one quality of poetry we choose by itself? We can have in our thought, and then it will go hard if we can't in practice our lives for it. Granted, no one but a humanist much cares how a poem sounds, if it is only sound. The sound is the gold in the eye, in the ore of the poem. And then we will have the sound out and alone and dispense with an inessential. We do till we make the discovery that the object in writing poetry is to make all poems sound as different as possible from each other, and the resources from that of vowels and consonants and punctuations and syntax and words, sentences, meter are not enough. We need the help of the context, the meaning of the subject matter. That is the greatest help towards all variety. And that's just a few sentences of that particular introduction. And I wanted to draw your attention to it if you have a chance to read it, and also to John Barr on Instagram. He does a really marvelous job of introducing poetry to you, and he makes his books of poetry for free on email. I wanted to read a poem a long time ago, when it was nice and sunny in November. And the poem is by Robert Frost, and it is called My November Guest. My sorrow when she's here with me thinks these dark days of autumn rain are beautiful as days can be. She loves the bare and withered trees, she walks the sodden pasture lane. Her pleasure will not let me stay, she talks and I am fain to list. She glads the birds are gone away, she's glad her simple worsted gray is silver now with clean mists. The desolate, deserted trees, the faded earth, the heavy sky, the beauty she so truly sees. She thinks I have no eye for these, and vexes me for reason why. Not yesterday I learned to know the love of bare November days, before the coming of the snow. But it were vain to tell her so, and they are better for her praise. And that's another short, very famous poem of Robert Frost, November Guest. And I started out with stopping by the woods on a snowy evening. And encourage you to have a chance, if you look at his collected works, to read those 2 pages before you write your next poem or before you write your next novel. And with that, I want to bid you a good evening, and I hope you stay warm and cozy on this cold December evening in Dowmeast Maine. Thank you.